Hey guys, welcome to the Moment of Clarity, Lessons in Leadership. I'm Dr. Williams, and today we're going to talk about confrontation, good or bad. Stay tuned. All right, guys, so let's talk about confrontation. Listen, confrontation is tough. It's a tough topic to talk about because there are a lot of leaders who do not understand the power in confronting situations, issues, and problems head on in order to see success later. Listen, if you're going to be an effective leader, listen to me carefully. You have to confront people and problems on a regular basis. Listen, so I'm going to talk about on this episode some things that you're going to have to do if you want to be a confrontational leader. You've got to be a leader that's willing to confront, because listen, nobody is going to follow someone who they don't believe has the courage to confront the issues. Let me say that again. No one wants to follow someone who they believe does not have the courage to confront the issues. Listen, that's the problem with so many leaders now. That's the problem with so many boards. That's the problem with so many deacon boards and all of these boards that you have in churches and in schools and school districts, is that they call themselves leaders, but they're not willing to face the tough situations. They're not willing to deal transparently with the tough conversations. And if you want to be a leader, if you want to be an effective leader, a positively impactful leader, you've got to be able to confront people and confront problems. And you've got to know that it's an art to doing it. It's not something you learn overnight. There's an art to doing it. And oftentimes you get baptized by fire learning how to confront people and problems. Right? And so I want to talk about confrontation because that C word, confrontation, is very powerful in leadership and it's often overlooked. Listen, we always teach leaders how to manage. We often teach leaders how to solve problems, but we don't teach leaders effective ways to confront people and to confront problems, right? Because you've got to have the other C word, which is courage. Listen, courage is the common denominator amongst great leaders. Let me say that again. Courage is the common denominator amongst great leaders. You name any great leader that you ever want to find, no matter what sphere of influence they've been in, and the characteristic of courage is one thing that they all have. Listen, and if you want to be able to confront the problems, if you want to be able to confront the people that need to be confronted, you got to have courage. All right, so let me give you 2 points about confrontation that's going to help you as a leader. Here's the first thing. Confrontation is inevitable. Listen, and no one wants to follow a leader that is not willing to take the lead on confrontation. Confrontation is inevitable, and no one wants to follow a leader who's not willing to take the lead in confrontation. Listen, this is even an area that I have to grow in as a leader, because what I found is that courage piece plays a major part in confrontation. Listen, somebody wants to address every issue, but everyone is looking to the leader to do it. And the moment you allow issues to be addressed in your organization by someone other than the leader, you have really discovered who the leader is in your organization. Whew. When you allow the issues, the people, and the problems to be addressed, because they're going to be addressed, but when they're addressed by someone other than the leader, then you found out who the leader in your organization really is. Listen, and this happens all the time. Listen, I've worked in school buildings in which the assistant principal or the leadership team was really not leading the school. They had to get the opinion. They had to have things addressed by other people in order for things to happen. And sometimes this happens as you're beginning in leadership, right? You have to find the people who have the ear of those that follow you. Right? You have to find those people. And sometimes you have to work through those people until you build that courage, you build that trust with those that follow you that will allow you to confront the issues. Listen, you have to confront issues regardless of what role you play, but it's even more powerful and impactful when it comes from the leader. And you'll discover who the leader is as soon as the issues have to be addressed. You'll discover in your organization who the leader is as soon as the issues have to be addressed. Listen, other people look at how you address issues. Other people look at how you address people. Listen, nobody wants to be the one in the building, in the organization that's doing everything right, and no one is addressing the one that does it wrong. They're looking at that. And if you want to be an effective leader, you've got to learn how to confront those problems, those issues, and those people. Listen, and in most cases, it's a face-to-face sit-down conversation. But then there are other times where it's not a conversation at all. There are other times where you confront an issue by solving a problem or changing a process, procedure, or system. Right? It's not always a face-to-face conversation. So you have to know when each one is appropriate in order to solve the problems, the issues, and deal with the people you have to deal with. Listen, here's the second thing you've got to understand. If you want to be a confrontational leader, you want to be a courageous leader that's going to hit things head on, is that you have to produce an environment that is conducive to tough conversations. Listen, I've worked in organizations and buildings where the tough conversation only came from top down. It only came vertically, right? But you're really in a situation that helps when you're able to have an environment that is conducive to conversations that are tough horizontally. Right? I've coached some basketball teams where me or my assistant coaches never had to say a word at a practice. Why? Because the players begin to hold each other accountable and confront the issues and the problems that they were having in practice without it coming from the leadership. And so the environment has to be set for that to happen. But listen, you'll find out who the leader is again by who begins that process of confronting the issue. And so when you're leading, not only do you have to be the one that confronts it, sometimes confronting it means you're putting them in position to solve it themselves. And you've got to understand the difference, because sometimes it doesn't need to come from your mouth. It needs to come from your hands. Let me say that again. Sometimes it doesn't need to come from your mouth. It needs to come from your hands. I don't need to say anything, but I need to put some things in place so that they can fix it themselves. Listen, you've got to be that leader that understands confrontation. You've got to be that leader that understands courageous conversations, right? You've got to be that leader that understands positive impact. Because if you want to lead and you want to lead effectively, you've got to figure out or understand that someone is going to confront the issue. But I either need to be the one that verbally does it, or I need to be the one that puts some things in place so that the system confronts and corrects the issue. Listen, this is Dr. Williams. This is the moment of clarity. Leave me a comment below. Like, share, subscribe. And remember, if no one's following you, you're just walking. Until next time.